It's your host, Preston, aka SB Press. And today on the podcast, I have a special guest. This individual is a teacher. So today I will be referring to her as our students refer to her as Mrs. Ortez. Welcome, Mrs. Ortez. Glad you could be here. And honestly, like I said, this podcast is all about just open conversations on subject matters that you cover to bring awareness to other individuals that may be experiencing hardships or going through the process of becoming a teacher. That's what this episode's about. So, hello, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No, I appreciate you for being here. And also, to kind of make things a lot easier for the both of us, I'm going to be asking you some very, very intricate, I can't even get the word out.
Intricate?
Yes. See, that's exactly why I brought in a teacher today, an English teacher to be exact. So, can you tell us just how did you start?
Okay. Well, in terms of education, I've been working in education since I was like 18, so that's almost 10 years now. So I started off mostly just like an after school tutor or like after school teacher, tutoring like one on one and stuff like that. But I always worked with like elementary. So after college, I guess I didn't really, my career like path wasn't going the way I wanted it to. So I felt like teaching was always like the second choice. So that's what I just went for.
So you started off working with all the little dirty recess kids and the snotty nosed kids that was already done with learning in school, but that fascinated you into more so going into the teaching part of it. And I guess the next question I would have to ask you, since we're talking about teachers and students, what type of student was you for your teachers?
I think like up to maybe fifth grade, I was like, the teacher's pet, kind of like. I always got good grades, and I was always the person that was done early, so I had to like, help other students with their work or like, like pass out stuff. But then like in middle school, it totally became like the opposite, and I was like not, I was the trouble kid, so. I was the kind of kid that was ready to just like walk out the class or like make something an argument or just like not do the work or just like cheat instead of actually do my work.
So. Sounds like little mean girls in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But in the going back to you saying you were helping a lot of students and stuff like that, and you're finding a niche in that. Did you ever feel like you were smarter than your teachers as you were going around being your own little teacher for the students?
I think I had one particular teacher that I knew that I was smarter than. I mean, like I knew at that time that I was smarter than her. But that was mostly because she was like an ESL teacher, and I got like bumped down to her class because I was being a little bad kid or whatever. But I was used to being in like the honors classes since like third grade. So when I got bumped down to the teacher that taught ESL, even though that class wasn't ESL, I felt like I'm too good for this class, and I knew, and I was, because the level of the class was completely different, but that was at the end of the day still my fault because I wasn't making the grades in the honors classes, so just
that was the consequences.
That was the consequences. But then that just made me even more of a rebel because I was like, I'm not gonna like sit here and learn from you, like your English is all broken, and that was messed up, but I think now as an adult I realize like broken English doesn't make someone not smart, or it doesn't make you smarter to talk a certain way.
Were you corrected a lot on your English?
No, I think because I was the youngest of three siblings, my siblings just, like, we used to talk English all the time. So for me, even though technically my first language was Spanish because that's what was taught at home before, I went to school, like my dad knew enough English to like teach me stuff here and there. So I never felt like my English was bad.
So understanding that and understanding that things I guess influence you all over, such as your family and stuff like that, Did you have a particular English teacher or teacher of a different subject that influenced you to become a teacher?
Yeah, I think in high school, it's funny because this question is, I feel like as an educator, like you get asked this all the time. Like anytime you start a new job or like an icebreaker, like, so I think every like teacher has a teacher, like that you just always talk about. But for me, it's my history teacher from 10th and 11th grade, Miss Perez. And she just honestly, like, was just like a teacher that was super genuine and real and like super straightforward with us and just kind of gave us a new perspective, as a Hispanic woman. And on top of that, like I think when we first met her, like the first day or whatever, she like kind of like told us about herself, obviously, but she made it like a kind of like a trivia game, like a true or false. Like, do you think this is true about me or do you think it's false? So like pretty much the way she came out to us was like, this summer, like I married a woman. Do you think this is true or false? And like so she made us kind of like prejudge her, before like just like telling us like who she was and stuff. So I think that's something that really stuck to me is just like how being a teacher is just about being real to the kids, like it's not about, you being smarter than them or like, sometimes even trying to teach them anything, sometimes you're just really there to like keep it real with them and just be like, we're all just humans, and I feel like even though she did that, she also like taught her content in a way that was like fun and engaging. Like,
So, with that being said, is there anything that you take from her that, her fun and engagement stuff that you apply to your students now today?
yeah, I try to, maybe not in the way that she would do it,
You don't play the trivia game with your students?
Yeah, we do play trivia games.
Oh.
I actually, but like obviously not like the way that she did it, like obviously like now that technology has like, taken this like whole other like leap into education. Like I do, like I have a whole game where they play like a Kahoot, where I'm just like asking them questions about myself and like sometimes actually this year. Usually I like to do it like that's the first thing that we do together so they can get to know me. They just guess on questions about me. But this time I actually took a while to like bring out the Kahoot game because I got mad at one of the classes because they were putting inappropriate names on the Kahoot usernames. Anyway, so I was like, we're not playing Kahoot.
Is there anything that your students like show or they're into that you have similarities of or you're into that makes the connection with them a little bit more, closer?
I think it's not. I think as a teacher, like you have to know their interests, So I've picked up stuff because of them, or like knowing that if I pick up on it, that I can use it as a reference like later in class. So like anime, right? Now I'm into it, but at the beginning, like I've had students tell me to like watch anime like for such a long time, and it took me like at least 2 years of kids telling me you should watch it, you should watch it, and now that I finally watch it,
you're hooked.
And then now they're telling me like new ones that I need to watch, and I'm just like, you guys, I don't have that much time.
If I made more time for anime, I'd have less time to do the homework.
Right.
And, make your assignments and stuff as easy as possible for you guys. But yeah, I'll go ahead and watch some anime and just, throw the hard stuff together for you guys, make it easier for me. But do you feel like, there are things that parents could also do at home to help bridge the gap between the students and the teachers' relationships?
Yeah, I feel like in some cases, as a parent, I think, and, looking at their perspective, it's hard to, I don't know, it just really depends on the situation, but sometimes, it's hard to really like know the truth. You always want to believe your kid and you want to believe that what your kid is telling you is true. But at the end of the day, like the parents aren't present in school, and so I think there just has to be common ground between parent and teacher in order to like raise the kid, you know, like parents can't do it alone and like teachers can't do it alone.
And what are some exercises that parents could possibly, practice to help that?
I think just trying to be involved and asking, you know, there's kids about schoolwork, you know, like try to be like, okay, what did you guys do in school? And like that sounds so like simple, but like you should know what assignments your kid is doing or is working on or what they're learning about in school, you know? Like I sent out, you know, a paper about like the stuff that we were reading, and then I had the kids like, oh, sign it, you know, like tell your parents to sign it so that they're aware of what we're going to be learning, you know? And I had a few kids be like, oh, my parents don't care if we're learning, like what we're learning, you know, like they don't care. And they're like, do I still need to bring it back? And I was like, yeah, you know, like still let them know, you know. But I think that if, as a parent, you show that you value education and that you see its worth, then they're going to see its worth too, you know. But if you kind of blow it off, or if you're just like, oh, you don't got to listen to your teacher, or like if your teacher tells you this, don't do this, like you're kind of just like, there's nothing really we can do to help, you know.
Which leads into a lot of students trying to cut corners and do all the other little things. So then when it comes to cheating or plagiarism and stuff, how do you handle that?
I think because I work with middle school, I'm still at the stage where I'm introducing like plagiarism. You know, like a lot of the kids that I've taught, like that's something that I have to teach them. You know, like they know about, you know, copying from, you know, the reading or the novel and stuff, but I don't think they understand like how like grave the situation can be if you're plagiarizing like in college and stuff. So when the students in my class, you know, when I can tell they just copy pasted something, I just usually like leave a comment and I'm like, this looks like it's from this website, and I leave the link on it. You know, so like sometimes the assignment is to copy paste stuff from, you know, websites, and sometimes it's to put it in your own words. And if it's not in your own words, like I could pretty much tell, you know, or like it's really easy to just like copy paste what you wrote that does not sound like, you know, an eighth grader, put it in Google, and then like the website comes out. And now there's like even Google Classroom has like embedded plagiarism like detection. Haven't used it because I really don't
smart.
need it, you know. But
you guys are getting real smart now. Got your own little website to figure out what's real and what's not.
Well, I think it's always been that way, even in college. Like you submit your work into a database to check its originality.
Yeah, but what if a few lines here and there is like inspired by, not directly the same?
Well, that's when, like, you know, citations and giving credit comes in. If you're trying to pass it off as your own, then that's what plagiarism is. But, you know, if you mention somewhere correctly, you know, you
give
have
the
to
credit.
Give the credit.
Give them their credit. It's like when somebody take a picture, give them their photo credit. You know, give it to them. Everybody, you know, need their credit. It's so just switching it up just a little bit. How do you feel about the importance of field trips on students? You're teaching a middle school, you know, demographic, so it seems as though like you guys are kind of out and about a little bit more, because if I can recall back when I was in school, most of my field trips were happening when I was in junior high school. So like, what do you feel the importance of field trips bring to the students and stuff?
I mean, just a break from the classroom.
Oh gosh.
I'm serious. As much as you know, you want to forget that like school can be boring sometimes. Like sitting at your desk and just like having to like take in all this information and do all of these tasks, and like it can be really overwhelming, you know. And especially now, like, you know, almost post COVID or whatever we're calling it. The kids need to go outside. They need some fresh air. They need to spend time with their friends and just talk and just have fun and just eat and you know, usually on field trips you get to like talk to the kids, you know, on a less formal level. For a lot of teachers that, teach very formal to their kids, like, I don't really dress up to, like, teach. But I know that there's teachers that do, so I think that gives opportunities for you to just bond with the kids. And really, like, if you're not making time to get to know them or bond with them, like, they're not going to want to learn from you, Like, they're only going to learn from people that they like, that they respect, and that they feel like that person cares about them.
So, yeah, I actually agree. I like that. I think that, field trips do help the kind of like bondage between the teacher and the student that's needed. And it allows them to breathe, not, just breathe and then, well, you guys don't use, chalk, anymore. So they don't, breathe in the chalk from the chalkboards. So they just breathe in like smart, the markers. I was going to say Sharpies and marker at the same time, but it came out as smarker. That wasn't so smart. Sitting here with an English teacher makes me feel like everything that I'm saying is wrong. But it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. But also, since you feel that way, I want to ask, like, how do you truly feel about college and students? Do you feel that it is necessary to succeed, being that you went to college and you're succeeding in your field?
I think, like, the easy answer is, in my opinion, that no, you don't need to go to college to succeed. There's a lot of successful people that, barely even graduated high school. Especially now that everything is virtual and you have, this gaming world and this YouTube world and TikTok world, like, there's a means to success, like, very easily. But in terms of the kids that I work with in my community, like with Hispanic people, like, or even Black people, like, I think the likelihood of people succeeding from our community is more likely if they go to college, because, like, I don't feel like we get it that easy, like, we have to kind of go through those things to kind of feel like we are worthy of the same jobs as other people sometimes. Or sometimes, you just need to have that degree on your resume, or like that school name on your resume.
Just to get the opportunity.
Yeah, to pretty much just compete. Even now, it feels like even your bachelor's isn't enough now. Like, everyone has one, so it's like you have to get your master's, or else you're not up there. At least that's how it feels to me.
Well, I heard of a bachelor who was looking for a partner a long time ago, but that's just me. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but I just had to get that out of my system. Do you think you're smarter than a fifth grader?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. Maybe not the ones on the show. Maybe like the ones I've taught before, probably, but not the ones on the show. Those look a little too smart for me.
They know too much. I don't even think when I was in the fifth grade, I'm
gonna say no, because my math skills, I'm just like, I don't know about fifth grade math no more.
Fifth grade math is like college math now. Fifth graders are like, they can graduate out of elementary and become the president of the United States now. How much curriculum they're freaking being taught now. But I just really want to kind of like get more of an idea of some of the things as a teacher that you kind of deal with, such as like, like helping out other teachers. And how do you, let me rephrase this. If you were to be a sub for someone else's class, still covering the same subject, how is your approach with new students? Are you firm? Are you kind of like just nonchalant?
In a subbing way, or?
Yeah, when you're subbing. Because I know that a lot of students take advantage of substitute teachers. So do you come off as very kind to where they can be a little bit more kind to you, or are you just kind of like just straight to the point to where they can't walk over you?
I don't know. It's hard because...
Tell us what type of teacher Miss Ortez is.
I'm strict, for sure. But I'm also really cool. Like, if you do what you do, like, we're gonna get along and the day's gonna be over and that's it. Like, you don't, like, you know. Um, but I was a sub for, like, at least a semester, at least. Or actually more than a semester now that I think about it. For at least a year. Maybe not consecutively, but for at least a year. And I've done like subbing for PE. You know, there's no not being strict in PE if you're gonna get kids to work out outside. You know, in the sun. There's no being nice outside, especially when you have to yell pretty much for everybody to hear you. And then I've also done, but I've also led PE classes where it's very chill and like they did the laps, they did the go play outside. Like that's it, you know? So it really just depends on the group of kids. I think I always try to, come in and be respectful and be like, look, this is what your teacher has left us to do. Let's try to get this done. If you guys need help, like let me know. You can work with a partner, like try to give them a little bit of freedom, but also make sure to keep control of the class because it is. I've also been in situations where I was just ready to be like, I need to go home, or like ready to cry, but I think in my opinion, for me, the worst thing to do is cry in front of the kids.
And what do you, other than cry, what do you do when a student challenges you?
I just remind myself that I'm the adult, So in my mind, I'm just like, I'm frustrated, I'm upset. Usually I just try to remind the student, like, you're disrupting my lesson right now, and that's disrespectful to me. Like, that's the worst thing you can do to me is, like, I'm trying to teach you and the other kids, and you're just, like, trying to be rude or trying to, like...
You're disrespecting their education.
Yeah, just, wasting everybody's time. But honestly, sometimes what I do is, like, I just use the silent treatment. I just stare people down and just stare at them and wait until everyone's quiet so they notice that they're the ones talking. And I'm like, just look at them.
I have another question from a student's perspective. If I was a student and I had an issue going on at home, what would be the best thing for me to do at school?
To find a teacher you trust or an adult that you trust. Even if it's something that is not comfortable or that you don't know how to express, there's the adults are there for you. We care about you guys, and even sometimes if it seems like the adults are busy or like your problem doesn't matter, like there's ways that things can be helped. There's always someone to listen.
There's always someone to listen. Hopefully, hopefully it's warm enough to where the kids feel comfortable to be able to come to you guys about the situations, because I know sometimes it can be kind of nervous, it can be, kind of scary even telling outside people about what's going on at home. And that's when you have like more so the trouble students who are your class clowns or disruptive and stuff like that, when it's really like what they're really trying to say is, hey, something's going on and I don't know how to say it, but this is the only way I can kind of act it out.
Yeah, definitely. And then it's hard to deal with students that way because why, like you as the adult understand, like this student is behaving this way because there's something going on at home, because they're not getting what they need at home, or there's something that's lacking or something that's going wrong, But I think it's also hard as a teacher to like we're not supposed to ask, like we can't sit down and be like, hey, what's going on at home?
You can't, you as a teacher cannot ask a student, hey, is everything okay?
We're not supposed to pry or like, because it seems like suggestive, like we're trying to get them to say something. So no, we're not.
So then if you can notice something going on with the student, what if the problem that's going on at home is visible?
Then that's when you can make a call to like CPS to student protective
Now,
services.
Yeah, child protective services.
That's what I'm talking
Before
about.
you contact child protective services, do you ever try and like talk to the student at all? Like, is there any way for you to kind of like just get an understanding?
So the times that I've had to at least make the call, usually it's been like students will come to me and try to tell me something. And, usually when kids want to tell you something, they'll say, oh, can I tell you something? But like, you can't say that I told you, or like it's a secret, So usually when someone tries to tell me something like that, or like, I have to let them know, like, just so you know, before you tell me, like, I'm a mandated reporter. And like, if you disclose anything to me that shows me, or that gives me the idea that you're going to harm yourself or harm someone else, or if you're in danger, or if someone else is in danger, then I have to let someone know, And so sometimes the kids will shy away and they'll be like, okay, never mind, So they'll just like refuse to. And at that point, I'm not supposed to be like, no, come back, like tell me, Like it's just like, all right, because that's the choice that they made. But the kids that say that, that acknowledge that, and then they continue to tell you. I forgot what the question was.
It was just basically about how to approach a student about what's going on.
Oh, right. But yeah, like if they tell us something, like we're just supposed to listen. We're not supposed to ask, or like, try to get more information, which is really contradicting, because when you finally do make those calls, when you are suspicious of something going on at home, they ask you like following up questions, you'll try to give them the general thing of like what the student told you, but then they'll be like, well, do you know about this? Do you know about that? Like, and then you're like, well, no, because we're not supposed to ask, So it's a little backwards, the system that we have to entrust the kids to.
So, since we're talking about, troubled kids and troubled situations with kids, how do you deal with a kid that cusses in your class?
I try not to, sometimes I try to call them out on their language. I'm just like, all I say is like, watch your language, or like just say language, because they do it so often that if I were to try to be upset or like try to correct it every single time, it would just not be worth my time. So, when they're like overdoing it, or just being like excessively loud about it, or like calling someone a specific like cuss word, then that's when I like call them out on it. But if they're just like, kind of like having a conversation with their friend like quietly, then, the conversation's not really with me. So I just kind of.
If I were one of your students, what's the easiest way to pass your class?
Do your work. Bring me maybe like, candy here.
Oh, bribing. Okay.
A little bit.
Okay, I like that.
My kids know that they can eat a candy in my class without, sharing. Just offering me one.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
But there is some kids that don't care to share. That's for sure. I'm glad that you were able to share like really a lot of this stuff with me and our audience. I feel like there's a lot of things that get I guess the word I'm gonna say is it gets overlooked when it comes to teachers. People just see them as just there to do their job and everything like that. But what fulfills you as a teacher? Like, what's your end goal when it comes to it? What makes this all worthwhile for you?
I think the kids that keep in touch, knowing that, especially now with like social media, it's so much easier for them to like, stay in touch. But just like the fact that they want to, or like they'll reply to like something that I post, or like, just like let me know that they're doing well.
Oh, so you're an accessible teacher.
Yeah, I try to be. Because I feel like some kids just need that example, even if it's virtually, what it can look like for someone that looks like them to succeed.
I like that. I like that. I feel like I just succeeded by having you as the first guest. So, in conclusion of that, what do you feel like the teachers, more so at the end of the day, deserve?
Some more money. Yeah. I think, part of the perks of being a teacher are like the vacations, but it is a lot of work. It's exhausting work. It's work that like drains you physically, mentally, emotionally. Like we're freaking helping raise your kids. Everyone's kids. These are all our kids. These are like, this is our generation. And like, if you're not worried about the next generation, then that's kind of sad. That means you don't
Basically,
really
don't care about your future.
Or about the future of anyone.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Miss Ortiz. I deeply appreciate you being here today. And I really hope that if there's an inspiring teacher or TA or, just anyone who wants to help other people, learn, that they pick up something from this and, it takes them, even further. Some people, have the mindset of when they get to a roadblock, that's it. Instead of seeking out knowledge or experience through others that could possibly get them over that hurdle. And that's what this podcast is all about. So again, I just want to say sincerely thank you. And yes, I definitely will be staying in touch with you. My English is horrible, so I definitely need a lot of help with that. And just want to go ahead and tell everybody to follow this at Compadres on Instagram. Once again, that's going to be Compadres on Instagram and also on YouTube. Thank you.